You are about to listen to a Beyond the Wheel minipod.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another minipod. And in this minipod, I'm going to do a campground review, which I don't think we've ever done on this podcast before, but this was such a great campground. I thought I would share it with everybody and just let you know what a great time we had there, and maybe you add it to your list at some point in the future. It's definitely a top 10 campground for us in all the years we've been RVing, and we're definitely planning to go back. So we recently took a weekend trip to the Cape Charles Chesapeake Bay KOA Resort on the eastern shore of Virginia. And this is one of 16 KOA resorts in the U.S., and one of 17 in North America. There's one in Canada, according to the KOA website. And we've stayed at the Tucson Lazy Days KOA Resort and really liked it. So we did have a feeling that we would like this resort as well. And according to KOA resorts feature RV sites with a KOA patio, deluxe cabins with full baths and linens, premium tent sites, resort-style pools, indoor and outdoor group facilities, and this had all that. We did not stay in one of the deluxe RV sites, which I'll talk about in a minute, but our site was perfectly fine for us, and our kids stayed in one of the cabins, which was perfectly fine for them. And it was two of our sons, one of their wives, and our grandson all stayed in the cabin, and they were quite comfortable. This resort is located on the eastern shore of Virginia, just a couple miles north of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Don't get that confused with the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. The Bay Bridge Tunnel is at the south end of the eastern shore, and the Bay Bridge is by Annapolis, Maryland. Now, one thing you have to know about the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel is it has a clearance of 13.6. So if you are taller, you have to get to the eastern shore from the Chesapeake Bay Bridge in Annapolis and travel the long way down Highway 13. This is the way we went because we're right at 13.6 and I didn't want to risk it. And it added about 2 hours to the drive from our house, but the drive on Highway 13 was very pleasant. You drive through small towns, lots of farms, not a bad drive at all. Very, very pleasant and not a ton of traffic. So it took our sons who went through the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel about 4.5 hours, and it took us between 6 and 6.5 hours. There's also another way if you want to avoid tolls, because both of those ways are tolls. You can go a little bit further up into Maryland and go kind of around the Chesapeake Bay, and that's a little bit over 7 hours of a drive. So, whatever you want to do, we thought it was worth the toll price to cut that hour or so off the drive because we really wanted to get there and start our vacation. The campground is co-located with the Sunset Beach Hotel, and this is another great option for people that don't have an RV and are leery about staying in a campground. There's a hotel right there with normal hotel rooms. You can just stay there if you want access to all the amenities. All of the check-in for the campground and the hotel occurs at the hotel check-in. There's a big overhang that any RV will fit under to do this check-in, and that is also where the camp store is located. The campground has more than 175 RV sites, plus the cabins, glamping tents, and tent sites. And what are these 175 sites? Well, they have back-end sites of various lengths. They have 30 or 50 amp connections at the back-end sites, water and sewer, and all of the back-ends are located on grass. And they have pull-through sites on grass that are 30 and 50 amp, and also water and sewer. This is the type of site that we stayed in, and the grass didn't bother us at all. We just put out our mat underneath our stairs and next to the picnic table, and you didn't even realize you were on grass. It was perfectly fine, and we really enjoyed that site. They also have deluxe pull-through sites that I think are 75 feet long, and they're gravel, and so those are really nice as well. If you want to spend the money for that deluxe site, or if you have a super long RV, we have our our 30-foot Arctic Fox 27.5L, so we didn't see any need to have that long of a space. And like I said, we put out our mat, and it was like we had a little patio where we were camping. We stayed in site 333. If you want to look at it on the map, it's way down on the corner and close to the other amenities, which I'll talk about in a minute. They also have cabins with screen porches and patios. And like I said, our kids stayed in one of these, and they're really nice. 2 bedrooms, a little living room, kitchen, bathroom, screened in porch, and a patio with some patio furniture, picnic table, and a grill. They also have glamping tents with 50 amp power. And to me, they look like if you were going on an African safari, that's what you would have in there. And they have 2 queen beds, I believe, inside. And then they also have regular tent sites, which have water and electric for each of the sites, which is really nice. And both the glamping tents and the regular tent sites are located close to bathhouses and laundry facilities, so it's really convenient. But what made this campground special was, number one, the private beach on the bay. And this is a fairly large beach that is pet-friendly right on the property. So only the people staying at the property really have access to it. And from our site, like I said, it was site 333. It was like a 2-minute walk to the beach. At the beach, they have a bar and restaurant that serves, alcoholic beverages, regular beverages, and what I call pub food. They have music playing during the bar operating hours. And at the beach, you can rent kayaks and paddle boards. And we saw lots of paddle boards out there while we were hanging out at the beach. And in the evenings, we went out there for the sunset, and there were a few people 20 or 30 yards offshore fishing, which was really cool to see. And then right above the beach is the pool. And it's a good-sized pool with walk-in access on one side. The water was warm, and it was a saltwater pool, so you don't smell like chlorine when you get out, which is something we really like. They also have a few cabanas at the pool that you can rent. And when we were there, it was open until 10 p.m. And like I said, they have music playing at the pool the whole time it is open as well. Not loud and obnoxious, but just nice ambiance at the pool. The kind of music you would want to hear at a pool, I guess. There were plenty of lounge chairs available at the pool, so don't feel like you need to rent a cabana as long as you don't mind the sun. It really wasn't bad. Like I said, we went in the evening after spending the day at the beach, and the sun was setting, and it was really nice atmosphere at the pool. They also have something I think Kenny really likes and I enjoy too, and that is a Hershey's ice cream shop. And that was really good. It's right up by the camp store. I believe they also in the mornings have coffee and breakfast sandwiches at the same location. Another nice thing they had was the Camp Canine, which I think all KOAs have, but this was the biggest one I've seen at any KOA. It had a lot of room for the dogs to run and stretch their legs, some trees for them to do their business on, and it was just a really nice wide open space for the dogs to get off leash and run. They also rent golf carts at this resort. I don't know what the cost is. I'm sure it says on their website. We did not rent a cart since we enjoyed walking, and everything was pretty close. I mean, nothing's a far walk, so having a golf cart we didn't think was necessary. There were also a lot of private golf carts at the resort, so ones that people bring in, and I believe there's a fee to bring your golf cart in just to help, I guess, offset the costs of the golf carts that they rent. So be prepared to pay a fee if you are bringing your own golf cart there. I have to say, one of my pet peeves about golf carts is that many times there's younger kids, like young teens or, 10 to 12-year-olds driving these golf carts without parental supervision. And it's okay if they're responsible, but many times, like we all know, kids are not, and they get close to us while we're walking our dog and drive in areas meant for pedestrians, not golf carts, which we encountered a couple times while we were there. And I equate this to people having their pets off leash, even though there are leash rules. Your dog may be well behaved, but there are people that have a fear of dogs and do not want your pet coming up to them. Many people don't even care if they're friendly if they have such a fear of dogs, which I have some friends that have a great fear of dogs, and they do not even want a friendly, well-behaved dog coming up to them. So the golf carts, kids driving golf carts and dogs off leash are my two pet peeves. Luckily, we didn't see any dogs off leash at this resort. Most people were very good, and there were a lot of pets there. And like I said, the beach is pet friendly, which was really awesome. We had our dogs down there, and they had a great time in the water. They also have 2 playgrounds on the property, and both were being enjoyed by kids. We had our grandson with us. He's almost 3, and he was able to play at the playground, so they have stuff for his size. And they also, there was 8, 9, and 10-year-olds playing at the playground while we were there. And so they have something for all the kids at the playgrounds. And I thought that was really, really a good thing that, our 3-year-old grandson could enjoy the same playground as a 8, 9, or 10-year-old. The resort did have propane on site as well as 2 dump stations, but the time we were there, the dump stations were closed. So if you feel like you're going to need the dump station, like I said, most of the sites have sewers, so you don't have to worry about it. But if for some reason you're going to need a dump station, you might want to ask when you check in if the dump stations are open or not. We actually did not leave the campground while we were there. We had family with us, and they had a cabin, like I said, and we spent a lot of time either at the beach, at the pool, at the cabin, or at the RV, so we did not have time to venture out. But there are a couple of state parks in the area, and like I said, you're across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge tunnel from Virginia Beach, so there's a lot of sights and stuff out there. But we had such a great time at the resort that we didn't venture out at all. We used the grill to cook our meals and also had campfires in the evenings. And the resort does have firewood, and you don't have to drag it back from the camp store. They actually deliver it to your site when you order it at the camp store. So that's really good too. You don't have to worry about, how am I going to get this firewood back to my site? You order it, and a short while later, somebody comes and drops it off. One thing that I will warn about is that there are no stoplights at the entrances to the resort. So be patient and calm when entering or exiting with your RV if you have to go across traffic to get into the lane that you need to be in. We, when we left, we turned out going north, and so we had to wait a few minutes for the traffic to break and allow us to get across. But you just wait patiently. Don't get too uptight, and you'll get across no problem. And so we enjoyed this KOA so much. We're planning on making it an annual trip. It's nice that the rest of the family can go with us. And so as long as we live in this area of the country, we plan on going back to this KOA. If you're looking for a place on the eastern shore of either Maryland or Virginia, definitely give this campground a look. Again, it's the Cape Charles Chesapeake Bay KOA, and we really enjoyed it, and maybe you will as well. So that does it for this week's mini pod, and we'll be back next week with a new episode. If you could, please leave a rating or review on the podcast platform you're listening to this on. It really helps the show grow, and we really appreciate it. And until we talk to you next week, safe travels, everybody.